Good evening and good morning, everyone present here. And we are happy to gather here for the celebration of the World Ocean Day. And this is the program schedule. Dr. B. Sheila Rani, Director of Research and former Vice Chancellor of our University, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology. She is going to give the welcome note, followed by Dr. Gopal Iyengar, sir, who is Scientist D from Ministry of Earth Science, going to give the inaugural note, and Dr. Vivekanandan, sir, who is the National Consultant from ICAR Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, who is going to deliver the theme highlights and lead the team as well as concluding the team. And Dr. Adam, he is the Science Director, Innovation 4.4 Ocean Funders. He is going to give the special note, followed by Dr. G. Dharani, Scientist F, Group Head, MBT, National Institute of Ocean Technology. Miss Sarah Jolina from the Director, Sokia Samanvaya from, she is also going to the special note. And the end note is given by Rama Subramaniam sir from the Sustainable Livelihood Institute. And the concluding remarks and discussion will be taken care by Dr. Vivekanandan sir again. Ma'am, kindly go with the welcome address, ma'am, please.
Yeah. Good morning to all. It's very happy that I would like to give the greetings for this World Ocean Day, which is being celebrated every June 8th. So the theme of the World Ocean Day for 2021 by the United Nations is the ocean life and livelihoods. So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, our Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology very specifically focus on the theme life and livelihood that the ocean sustains. To celebrate this day, our Center for Ocean Research, which is housed in Colonel Dr. JPR Research Park of Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, in association with our Earth Science Technology Cell of Ministry of Earth Sciences, is organizing this online panel discussion to talk on the theme Coastal Communities of Indian Ocean Region, Sustainability, Innovation and Livelihood. So the World Ocean Day is observed every year on 8th June, which is being celebrated to create an awareness among human beings for the benefits to be enjoyed from the ocean so far. So the day highlights the needs, the necessity, how to protect the oceans from further deterioration. So the United Nations declared this World Ocean Day as an official occasion in the year 2008. The UN also hosted different themes each year to celebrate this day. While the government needs to implement laws to save our blue planet, the responsibility also falls, of course, on the common people to adhere to them and contribute to safeguarding the water bodies that surround the planet. No doubt, our Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology always work towards the sustainable development goals and contribute to the surrounding oceans. On this occasion, this platform, I would like to say a few glimpses about our contribution given by our Center for Ocean Research towards the sustainability, innovation, and livelihood of ocean ecosystem. Very specifically for the livelihood development of our fisherwomen in coastal villages. Through our self-help groups, our Center for Ocean Research have initiated seaweed farming activities in the field station, which is at Colonel Dr. JPR Fishing Harbour, which is at Muttam, Kanyakumari district. So around 600 women are benefited out of this initiative. Again, through the self-help groups, the fisherwomen are being trained in the small-scale production of seaweed biopolymers and seaweed-based biofertilizer, which is an eco-friendly initiative. They have also developed fish waste-based fertilizer, and with this, they have trained the self-help groups fisherwomen. Our Center for Ocean Research is continuously giving training and as well educating the fisherwomen in the regional languages regarding the conservation of sharks and rays. So the infographics in Tamil language with personal meeting with the fisherwomen and men were aware of scheduled shark and rays in their bycatch. So around 500 fisherwomen are educated in the conservation-based initiative. We are very happy to say that our Center for Ocean Research is conducting a course on PG Diploma course on fishery food products. It is being sponsored by Department of Biotechnology, a Government of India initiative, wherein the students who study in this course are from the fisher folk background. So this program provides skill-based training to the youth on post-harvest technology and seaweed preservation and processing. Through this, we are able to give employability to those children also. Our Center for Ocean Research is continuously educating even the school students on the awareness on marine environmental conservation and protection of biodiversity through various activities like quiz on regular intervals. So the participation and knowledge sharing is really a promising one for sustainable oceans in the near future also. Whereas through the research and development activities of our Center for Ocean Research, we have developed various products for the societal applications like nanofeed for shrimp aquaculture, seaweed biopolymer for radio nucleoside absorption, seaweed-based COVID-19 protection kits, steel slag-based concrete for coral restoration, and so many. Our Center for Ocean Research conducts regular workshops, training programs at all levels, not only to the school children or to the fishermen, but also to various other publics, scientists, and various other faculties also, and always focused towards the SDG 14 Sustainable Development Goals towards the marine bioresource augmentation. Our Center for Ocean Research promotes aquaculture, fisheries, and seafood-based entrepreneurs and startups through our Sathyabama technology business incubator in support with the Blue Economy Policy of India. Our Center for Ocean Research also promotes the advanced knowledge in aquaculture fisheries, marine bioresource augmentation by supporting doctoral and postdoctoral students for skill-based human resource development. They also support seafood sector industries by providing essential quality testing, training, and funding support based on their needs. As such, Center of Ocean Research, very happy and proud to say our Center for Ocean Research has been recognized by Ministry of Earth Science as a nodal cell for the marine biotechnological studies. And we have been given as the Earth Science Technology Cell in our Colonel Dr. JPR Research Park in the year 2019. And in fact, this is our second time celebration after we have been recognized as a Earth Science Technology Cell by MOES. So with this short brief, I'm very happy to welcome all the panelists. Shri Dr. Gopal Iyengar sir, who had accepted our invitation, who is Scientist G and Program Head of PAMC from Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, who have accepted our invitation and address our gathering. And Shri Dr. Vivekanandan sir, who is a National Consultant of ICAR from Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. Dr. Adam Schlinger, who is Science Director, Innovation 4.4 from Ocean Funders, US. And Dr. Dharani, who is Scientist F and Group Head from MBT from MOES NIOT, Pallikaranai, Chennai. And Ms. Sarah Jelena Walcott, who is Director from Sequoia Samanvia, US. And Mr. Ramasubramaniam from Sustainable Livelihood Institute, Auroville. So no doubt, I believe that this discussion will provide a new insight to all of us and to all the participants. So on behalf of the Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, I welcome you all for the celebration of this World Ocean Day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Now I request Dr. Gopal Iyengar sir to deliver the inaugural note.
Thank you, Dr. Inbakandan.
Thank you, sir.
A very warm welcome, a very warm good evening and good morning to everyone, to my fellow panelists, Dr. Sheila Rani, Dr. Vivekanandan, Dr. Adam Schlenger, Dr. Dharani, Ms. Sarah Jelena Walcott, and Mr. Ramasubramaniam. My heartiest congratulations to the Center for Ocean Research, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, for organizing this thematic panel discussion to celebrate the World Ocean Day 2021. On behalf of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, I am very happy that they are celebrating this for the second time, as was mentioned by Dr. Sheila Rani in her opening address, after the establishment of the flagship program of the Earth Science Technology Cell, which is being supported by the Ministry of Earth Science. As has been mentioned by Dr. Sheila Rani, the theme of the World Oceans Day 2021 is Ocean Life and Livelihoods. And ahead of this UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the theme aims to strengthen cooperation worldwide to develop scientific research and innovative technologies that can connect ocean science to the needs of the society. Very happy to know that the MOA's EST cell at the Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology is specially operating towards the augmentation of marine bioresources to realize their biotechnological potential. And I'm very happy to know the various initiatives and the societal applications which this institute has developed over the years. Congratulations to the entire team of SIST. Two of our institutes, the National Institute of Ocean Technology and the Center for Marine Living Resources and Hydrology, are very closely associated with the Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, and they are collaborating in this work on this Earth Science Technology cell. The oceans cover 70% of the globe, and they are big storers of food, energy, minerals, medicine, and also they control the weather and climate, which underpin the life on Earth. For India, which its three sides surrounded by the ocean, and around 30% of the country's population living in the coastal areas, ocean is a major influencing factor. It supports tourism, livelihood, and trade. And it's very surprising to know that about 95% of the deep ocean, it still remains unexplored. We have explored only 5% of the oceans to say till date. The Ministry of Earth Sciences holistically looks at all the five components of the Earth planet, that's the atmosphere, ocean, cryosphere, biosphere, and lithosphere. And the ocean component is one of the major programs of the Ministry of Earth Sciences. So the ministry has 4 institutes dealing with the ocean sciences. We have the center at Hyderabad, the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, which is the nodal agency for providing the tsunami alerts and warning to about 25 countries along the rim of the Indian Ocean. The center also provides the potential fishing zone advisories to about 7 lakh fishermen in India, so that they are able to easily locate the areas of abundant fish, which not only saves their time, but also saves the fuel, thereby decreasing the carbon footprint. The center also provides the ocean state forecast of the storm surges to a variety of stakeholders, and who have found this forecast to be very useful. One of our other centers, the National Center for Coastal Research, it has a very important program on the coastal water quality along the east and west coast of India. They have also a very important component to see the shoreline changes along the entire coast and to see how the climate change has affected the changes along the shoreline. And they have initiated a major program on the marine litter. The program is going to start in the next, come up a big way in the next 5 years. The National Institute of Ocean Technology is a major developer of the ocean technologies, which has a variety of societal applications. They have developed a very unique way of generating water from the potable water from the seawater, and established about 4 plants in the islands of Lakshadweep Island. This is based on the low temperature thermal desalination. It's very, very environment friendly and has been provided a much needed comfort to the inhabitants of the Lakshadweep Islands. They've also done a lot of work, innovative engineering techniques for the restoration of the beaches which have been lost due to the coastal erosion. And for example, the coast of Puducherry and also some of the villages in Tamil Nadu have been restored with their coastal engineering techniques. One of the important components is also the marine biotechnology, and my colleagues, Dr. Dharani and Dr. Vineet Kumar, who are in this August gathering, probably they'll be speaking more about this in the later discussions. So based on this work, we have a major plan to expand our activities in the ocean services. So we need to, with a view to explore the deep ocean for resources, to develop sea technologies, deep sea technologies for sustainable use of the ocean resources, and improve understanding of our deep sea. The Ministry of Earth Sciences is going to launch a very big mission called the Deep Ocean Mission at an estimated cost of about 4,200 crores for a period of 5 years. And this ambitious mission mode project will support the Blue Economy Initiative of the Government of India. So India's blue economy is one of the largest pillars of the national economy, comprising of an entire ocean resources system and human-made economic infrastructure in marine, maritime, and onshore coastal zones within the country's exclusive economic zone. It will encompass the production of goods, services that have clear linkages with economic growth, environmental sustainability, and national security. This blue economy is really a vast socio-economic opportunity for coastal nations like India to harness ocean resources for societal benefits responsibly. As you know, India has a coastline of about 7.5 thousand kilometers and a unique maritime position. And 9 of its 29 states are in the coastal region, and nation's geography include about 1,300 islands and about 199 ports, including 12 major ports. Also, the India's exclusive economic zone, it covers about 2 million square kilometers, and it has a, as I said earlier also, it's a storehouse of living and non-living resources with a significant amount of recoverable resources such as crude oil and natural gases. India's coastal economy also sustains about 4 million fisherfolk and the millions of associated coastal communities. As I had mentioned, we have a flagship program which are providing the potential fishing zone advisories to the fishermen. I'm very, very happy to note that the Center for Coastal Research at the Sathyabama Institute has also developed very good applications for the fishing community. With this vast maritime interest, the blue economy will occupy a very vital potential position in India's economic growth, and it could be the next multiplier for the GDP, well-being, and providing sustainability. However, we need to take care that the environmental concerns and the sustainability concerns are kept in mind while harnessing these resources. We are very soon will be coming out with the Blue Economy Policy Framework, which will be in line with the Government of India's vision of New India by 2030, and which highlights the blue economy, one of the major 10 core dimensions for the natural growth. The policy framework will emphasizes policies across 3 sectors to achieve holistic growth of India's economy. So at the end, I'll again thank the Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology for inviting me to this program and wish the program a huge success and hope the deliberation will lead us to recommendations on products, processes, and pathways aimed towards various segments to be addressed in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Vivekanandan, sir, to provide the theme highlight and lead the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Inbakandan. I'm extremely thankful to the SIST, particularly to Dr. Sheila Rani, the Director Research, as well as Dr. Inbakandan, the Associate Professor of Center for Ocean Research, for giving me this opportunity on this panel discussion on the World Oceans Day. I deeply appreciate the effort taken by the SIST, because the World Oceans Day is one way to recognize the importance and value of the oceans, and also it helps to connect the people with the oceans. We all know that oceans provide a very great level of services. Oceans provide 50% oxygen to the globe. It gives quite large amount of food, seafood, drug, and it helps to improve the health of the human beings. And it is also a great climate regulator. So the services provided by the oceans are immense, and this type of events definitely help take the message to the common public through the academic institutions. Well, the World Ocean Day is celebrated every year on 8th of June. It started in the year, it was recognized in the year 2008 by the United Nations. And this year's theme, as it is said, it is life and livelihood. Last year, it was innovations for sustainable ocean. So different themes are advocated every year. And the World Ocean Day also gives support for implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and also the blue economy. So I think that way this World Ocean Day gains much importance. And I would also like to mention here that this is the 2021 is the first year of UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So this is a decade-long program by the United Nations. And being an academic institution, I would like to emphasize here that this is UN Decade of Ocean Science. So there is a great opportunity at the national level for international cooperation on research and innovative technologies. So I think this is the beginning of this decade, 2021, and it will go on until the year 2030. Briefly, a few fact sheets, facts about the oceans. Of course, it covers 71% of the Earth's surface, and the total global coastline is 1.1 million kilometer area. The Indian Ocean is about 66,000 kilometer is the total coastal length. And India, it is 7,517 kilometer. The important aspect is that, and particularly to this theme of life and livelihood, is that 1/3 of the global population and also the Indian population lives in the coastal areas. So the value or the impact that happens to the oceans and coasts immediately reaches, affects, or benefits about 1/3 of the coastal population. But of course, those who are in the internal areas are also definitely benefited or they are affected. Very significantly, the value of the Earth's ecosystem services has been assessed, and the global ecosystem services, the value, the economic value of these services has been estimated as 33 trillion US dollars in a year. And in this, about 68% or about 22.4 trillion US dollars comes from the coastal and marine ecosystems. So 2/3 comes from the coastal and marine ecosystems. But unfortunately, in the last few years, particularly between the years 1997 and 2011, for which the assessment was made, it has been found that the coastal and ecosystem services has reduced from about 68% to about 60%. That is, the ecosystem services economic value has reduced by about 8% in a period of just 15 years. So this is actually a cause for concern. So why it is happening, why this sort of a reduction in the value is happening is that because of unsustainable activities, particularly unsustainable economic activities that is happening throughout the globe. And as I said, the ecosystem services are provided by the oceans under the 4 major categories. That is provisioning services, then non-provisioning services are the regulatory services, cultural services, and the supporting services. If you take the provisioning services, that is the food supporting services like the fisheries and aquaculture, the negative impact comes from mostly from over-exploitation and also from to the ecosystem degradation because of overfishing. That is the impact on the ecosystem structure and function. That happens because of over-exploitation, particularly overfishing. And then we talk about the bioprospecting as another provisioning service, production of drugs for improving the human health. And what's happening here is that over-exploitation of some of the important organisms like the sponges and also the sharks for the squalene production. All these things have negative impact and it affects the provisioning services. If you take the regulatory services like climate regulation, we know that already the climate change is happening. So because of the human induced climate change, there are a lot of changes that is happening in the climate, and it is likely impacting negatively the climate regulation services of the global oceans. And then we have the cultural services. There are many cultural services, and tourism is one such service, which is actually, again, unsustainable tourism, like polluting the waters when you go for unsustainable pollution. This has got negative impact, which again erodes the beneficial aspects of the oceans. Then the supporting services, we have the habitats, like the critical habitats like the corals, mangroves, seagrasses, sand dunes, mud flats, etc. So these are affected by the coastal developmental activities. So in corals and mangroves, we find that there is loss of habitats for the fishes and other organisms for breeding and feeding purposes. And then ocean is one of the major medium for transportation. 90% of the cargo for trade, 90% of the trade globally happens through the sea. So because of this, there is a lot of pollution happening. Just 10 days before, you all would have known that there is a huge container ship, Express Pearl, which got, it had some technical problem, and it engine seized, and finally it got sank. It got sunk about 10 nautical miles from Colombo. So there is a great catastrophe happening because it had 1,500 containers, and then it also had huge amount of bunker oil as well as a huge amount of nitric acid. So there is a lot of environmental pollution happening along the Sri Lankan coast. This happened just 10 days ago. So these are some of the negative aspects, which is actually causing a lot of degradation, and also it reduces the economic value of the services as well as the environmental impact of the global oceans. So these are some of the major issues. So there is a need for actually ensuring healthy and productive oceans to sustain the provisional as well as the provisioning and non-provisioning services. In fact, the Sustainable Development Goals and as well as the blue economy emphasize and have the human well-being in the heart of their services, and also human well-being with social equity in the heart. And then reducing environmental risks and ecological scarcities are the other aspects which has to go into these type of initiatives. And if we follow this principle, there is every possibility that the countries can accelerate their GDP to even double-digit level. And definitely that we can have a greater benefit from the blue economy. Of course, many countries are following these practices to enhance, diversify, as well as complement the already existing livelihood and also alternate livelihoods, and also restore the coastal resources, as well as regulate the reliance on the coastal resources, and to reduce the poverty and improve incomes and well-being. And also, I would say that the SDG 14, Life Below Water, emphasizes this, that to conserve and sustainable use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development is one of the major targets, goals of the SDG 14. And I hope that this will be, this is being followed, and this is being taken seriously by all the countries, including India. So with this, I complete my presentation, and then I will come back again for the discussion later. I finish for the time being.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vivekanandan, sir, for your insightful information. Now I request Dr. Adam, Science Director, Innovation 4.4, to provide us views.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. That information has been very useful. So yeah, my name is AJ. I'm an oceanographer and a marine ecologist. And my work focuses on studying the structure and function of ecosystems and then tying in the human component to study the interactions between them. And the overall goal of this is to better optimize the management and conservation of natural resources. I've conducted some research at a few universities here in the US, and I also work for NOAA, which is our government organization responsible for managing the oceans. However, I took a turn away from academia and government management a few years back into the nonprofit and private sector space. And the reason for this is that I was exposed to a wide variety of innovators, entrepreneurs, and organizations that were developing ocean health solutions at a pace that is fast enough and at a scale that is large enough to really tackle the major challenges that are facing our oceans today. But just as importantly, these groups were creating economic incentives for positive environmental impact work. And so a perfect example of this, and it was actually, this type of work was introduced earlier, but I met a professor out of Indonesia who had started a seaweed farm, and he was hiring local fishermen who otherwise would have been dynamite fishing the local coral reefs. And then he was using the products from that seaweed farm to create alternative plastic products. So through this one operation, they were improving the livelihood of local communities. They were conserving and protecting natural resources in that area. They were sequestering carbon, and they were also fighting the plastic pollution issue. And it's these win-win-win-win situations that I believe are truly necessary to create long-term sustainable solutions to these ocean challenges. And I know that there's a lot of people here working in that same sort of area, and it's really great to see. So not too long ago, I started working with Oceans Funders, which is an initiative of Innovation 4.4. That's how I met Sarah Jolina. And the overall goal of our organization is to catalyze innovation around ocean health solutions, as well as educate the public, investors, entrepreneurs about the science around the oceans today, and then to make sure that the people who are developing these ocean health solutions have access to the opportunities and the resources needed to scale their work up and make a real impact. And since starting this work, the blue economy has really grown and expanded, especially over the last few years. And we're seeing really large developments in terms of renewable energy, seaweed and macroalgae cultivation, as well as microalgae cultivation, alternative plastic products and materials, ecotourism, which was mentioned before, as well as sustainable fishing and seafood. And something that has really become a major field lately is what they're calling blue data, which is now with all the advancements in different sensors that can sort of measure environmental data in real time and through remote sensing, there's a huge wealth of data out there. And people are beginning to use machine learning and AI to really utilize that information for conservation and management and developing the blue economy. And so there's a lot of opportunities, whether it's people who are still doing primary research in academia, government management, or people who want to move into sort of the entrepreneurial side of the blue economy to begin making a positive impact while improving the lives of local communities, as well as tackling the issues that if we don't do something quickly, we won't have time to really make the impact that's needed to save the oceans. So I'm very honored to be speaking with the other speakers here and look forward to chatting more in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And now I request Dr. Dharani, sir, to provide his views.
Dr. Dharani, sir.
Now, if he's not there, Ms. Sara, Director, Sikya Samanvaya. Ma'am, you can unmute yourself and provide your views, please.
Great, thank you. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. When I used to live and work in South India in Tamil Nadu, and I spent quite a fair amount of time enjoying your long coastline and talking to the local communities and to those who hold the knowledge and the wisdom and the memory of what does it mean to live in harmony with the ocean. And that's something that many of us have forgotten. I'm currently talking to you and speaking with you from California. I'm on the edge of the ocean right now, actually, in a town called Monterey. And we're right next to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is known for, it used to be one of the most unsustainable fishery areas, and they caught a lot of sardines, and they essentially overfished the ocean here in California. And one day there was almost no more sardines. And so the factories shut down. And the Monterey Bay Aquarium has become a research center and a education center that is located in the actual building that used to be a sardine factory. And it's a really beautiful example of the ways that we can transform these unsustainable practices and unsustainable relationship to the ocean, which has been what the modern world has engendered. That we have, the ocean, as all of our panelists have said very eloquently and with a lot of facts and details, the ocean is very much our source of life. We would not live without the ocean, and the ocean's life, the life of the ocean, which is to say, all the creatures that live in it, and also the way the ocean itself is a living being and breathes and helps the entire planet breathe, is there's nothing that humans cannot create that. We are very much dependent. We need to be in service to the ocean. So even as we think about the way that the ocean serves us, let us remember that ultimately we humans need to be in service of the ocean in order for us to continue to live. And the communities that historically have been doing that are the frontline coastal communities all around the world. They've been helping to interact with the ocean, and historically that was done in a sustainable way. And so we can look to coastal communities today, not only as part of the problem, and obviously some of them, overfishing is done by coastal communities often. And as AJ beautifully said, there's many, many examples of local people engaging in the fastest way of making money, which is often the most destructive form of engaging with the ocean. And that can be transformed into sustainable livelihoods that can benefit both the ocean and the people. But they often have knowledge of how to live with the ocean well. And I've seen that particularly. I have done some colleagues and some work out in the Pacific and some of the outer rims of the Indian Ocean. And in those coastal communities, I've always found that they have all sorts of traditional forms of fishing and of working with seaweed and a seaweed cultivation and just engaging and with the ocean that often has been forgotten by the rest of the world. So this question arises, how is it that we can best engage with coastal communities? as we develop the science and technology, as we do the innovation that's necessary to bring us forward into this, to find actual solutions for that which gives us life and to not destroy it. And there's one or two methods I just want to encourage all of you who are out there looking to become, looking for careers to work with the ocean. I want to encourage you to, as you're developing technologies, as you're thinking about solutions to plastic, as you're thinking about how you can use your science and technology degrees to best be in service to the oceans, to also ask the question, how can I work with the local communities? And there's three main forms of that. There's obviously many more, but one is to be to actually physically be located within communities, to talk with them, and to know and to involve them in your research design process, because they are going to point out things to you that you yourself are not going to see simply coming from your expertise as a scientist. They're going to have understandings and knowledge. They also bring an expertise into the problem design question. So I encourage people to bring the local communities into the process of research itself, and then bring them into the economic solutions that you are proposing. It is not enough today. We are in too dire of a situation. It is not enough today to simply be working, to be thinking, to be doing research that is not linked to application. We need to, there's not linked to solving the problems that all of your esteemed professors have presented here today. Like, we have to be working towards concrete solutions. And those are solutions that need to both address livelihoods and they need to address the needs of the ocean itself. So to bring them into the research process, to think about the economic solutions and think with them, because they will often have solutions that we ourselves don't see, to think with coastal communities about the economic and livelihood solutions that will actually work best for them. You can't know this unless you're really on the ground with them and you're working with partner NGO organizations who are on the ground with them. And then a third really key piece is to think about the difference between working with a small local solution and working with a global solution. And when do you need which? They're both important. Both the local solutions and the global solutions are important. And sometimes those global markets can overwhelm local communities. And then they end up just following the global markets and not what they actually need for themselves and for their own coastal community. And I have seen this happen globally. This is not a problem unique to the Indian Ocean. There are, as you may know, there's community aquaculture solutions. There is a number of exciting livelihood entrepreneurial solutions that are happening. And sometimes it's okay for things to stay at the local level, and sometimes it needs a connection to the global markets. And to kind of just think carefully about how those things intersect, and what are the networks that can support both, and how much can you strengthen the not just the perspective, but how much can you strengthen the ability of the local entrepreneur to interact with global forces that are beyond his or her control. I think the only other thing I would just mention is that the importance of honoring the spiritual and contexts of communities, and to recognize that for many communities around the world, the ocean has a beingness. It has a presence that is beyond what can be described in a scientific paper or report. In some ways, science can help us look and understand the ocean. And yet there is something in the ocean which we cannot fully describe by science, and to respect the different ways that different communities have of thinking about that. And that we can bring our different types of knowledge together, and we can bring our different ways of being together towards this common cause of supporting that which gives us life, of enabling all of us, like the oceans can unify us and can bring us together because they touch all of us and because our lives are so deeply dependent upon them. So I'm very happy. It warms me to see so many people here and to think that many of you are asking the questions that will help, that can help the oceans, because they need us at this point in time.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sarah. Actually, there are some internet issues.
In my power failure, can I, from
Yes,
mobile,
sir,
can
yes,
I
sir.
log in?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Well,
Please,
sir.
sir. Sir, in the meantime, I request Dr. Vinit sir also provide some few points about
Yep.
uncast programs. Sir, you can
Yes, yes.
connect through mobile also, sir.
If Vinith is coming, I will wait. Otherwise, I will proceed.
Yeah, please proceed, sir.
Respected Dean of Research, respected Dr. Gopal Iyengar sir, and my colleague, fellow speakers. I'm very glad to participate in the coastal community of Indian Ocean Regime and Sustainable Innovation Livelihood Program on the part of this Ocean Day. I would like to share some of our experience with this, but very specifically to the today's meeting on coastal community in Isle of Indian Ocean region, the sustainability, innovation, and livelihood. When we speak about the coastal community of Indian Ocean and the sustainable innovation and the livelihood support, India has a very huge coastline. We have approximately 8,118 square kilometer of coastline. And we have roughly about a self area of 200 from up to 200 meter, about 0.53 billion square kilometer, and we have approximately about 14.6 million fishermen population in India, and out of the 61% of the fishermen population of the India is below BPL. So this program on the sustainable and innovation livelihood is very, very pertaining to the this today's program. And when coming to the ocean, we have almost exploited utilized the land almost, and our population of the land is nearly 420 per square kilometer, I believe, in India as per the global status. So we don't have anything on to expand on the sea. The only way is on the land, and only way is sea out. Sea, coastal seas, already we are and good hunters and gatherers, and we have doing a very good. We stand third in the marine fishery production, but in terms of culture fisheries, we have not used anything sustainably. And India is slowly coming up with a number of innovations. One of the innovations is, as my program director, Dr. Gopal Iyengar said, is Marine Fisheries Advisory Zone, using all innovative technology, including satellite and other technology, to give the potential fishing zones. And the other upcoming areas is regarding the sustainability is one is cage culture of marine finfish and seaweed culture. Seaweed culture is going to be one of the huge potential, because the capture fisheries we cannot increase beyond the maximum limit, and potential of cage culture is also still growing, and that also cannot be pushed to very large. But the seaweed culture is going to be a very great innovation, great source for the income of the coastal community. When you come towards seaweed, there is about 10,300 species, which is out of 1,600 species of brown and 620 of red and 250 of green are reported world ocean. Out of this, approximately 1,153 species of seaweed is reported from our maritime states, including 10 maritime states, including Andaman and Nicobar Island. Out of this, Tamil Nadu harvests the very highest seaweed biodiversity. The seaweeds are very, very important in terms of shaping the ocean, as well as the carbon dioxide quenching, as well as oxygen production, and they have a huge biochemical reserve. The major biochemical constitution of the seaweeds are polysaccharides such as carrageenan, alginate, which is not present in terrestrial plant, which is very unique. They are the second major constitution of seaweed is protein, and which can support the entire human community. and they also contain minor quantity of bromine, iodine, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and so on. And the polysaccharides, which is a chief component, polysaccharides is a chief component. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is
Able to hear you,
one
sir.
of the is one of the largest polysaccharides on the globe, and it can support the complete industrial thing. Direct consumption of seaweed is very limited to the Indian context when compared to the other Southeast Asian. The global and Indian scenario of seaweed, the global annual production of seaweed is estimated to somewhere 32.4 billion tons. It is in 2018 to 19, and 97% of this comes from the culture, and remaining 3 comes from the nature collections. Globally, about 50 countries are reported to practice seaweed culture, and the top 7 countries are China, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, Philippines, and India is yet to flag in this. And out of this cultivated species, Euchemia, Capophagus, Gracilaria, Sargassum, and Porphyra and Saccharina are the major 7 species cultivated for agar, hydrocolloids, carrageen, agar, and alginate product according to FAO. Nearly in Indian context, about nearly 7 ton of standing crops of wet weight seaweed is reported from different coast of Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu alone contribute to 2 lakhs tons. Seaweed farming in India is initiated by 1964 in ICR SEMA-FRI, and followed by CSIR CSMSRI. In 1984, they introduced one of the species which is called Capophagus from Philippines, and which is the only one and single dominant species cultivated in India so far. And of course, it has nearly replaced the Gracilaria and the Gelidilia production from this Indian coast. Of course, through farming, there are about 10,300 species reported worldwide. Only 221 species are being utilized commercially, and 10 species are cultured. And the Capophagus is a single dominant species cultured in India. Of course, number of institutes and government institutes are promoting the seaweed culture for the sustainable utilization and the social livelihood of the fishermen community. Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry and Dairy, Government of India has included seaweed farming through a blue economic program and earmarked as a budget of 640 crore under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana for development of seaweed park and promotion of large-scale seaweed farming. The present initiation aims to increase from a current level to 7 ton production of seaweed, 7 ton of production to 10 ton wet weight in 5 years. The programs also envisage the direct employment about 10 lakhs fishermen community, and the PMMSYZ seaweed farming activity will take into measurement program to provide financial support for farming development of seaweed bank, nurseries, processing, marketing, and unit for expansion of large-scale seaweed farming. As per the PMMSY program, the total admissible government subsidies, state and central government will be limited to 40% of the project cost, and a general category benefit up to 60% of the project cost, and the weaker section is about to 60%. So this is the initiative of government and potential of seaweed, and I don't need to re-emphasize on the potential of the seaweed. You know, seaweed is the former president of Aquaculture former presidents of MP, Dr. Sathyabama, who is also a father of modern aquaculture in India, used to say seaweed is gold. So it is a liquid gold. It goes like that. The present and future prospects all depend on only the Capophagus, which is a single dominant species which has been cultured in India, and our institutes like SEMA-FRI and CSMCRI are promoting a couple of Indian species, native species like Gracilaria species and other things like Gracilaria, Gelidilia, Porphyra, Alva, Entomorpha, and Sargassum also being promoted. One of the main future perspectives improve the native strains, because we are also facing very difficult situations of disease and eye size disease and poor growth performance in the Capophagus species. So the improvement of native strain is native strains for better growth with better biochemical constitutions are being carried out. Seaweed banks and seaweed nurseries and culture maintenance and constant supply of seeds are focused to develop. The presently seaweed culture is carried out in few sheltered area and shallow water area, and mostly with the depth of where a man can walk and go. This initiative also of a number of countries with the support of Ministry of Earth Science, our institute at Andaman, Aquasti Atal Center for Ocean Science and Technology at Port Blair has initiated the cultivation of native seaweed and trying to expand the seaweed to the near shore deep areas. That means after the 3-meter depth to 20-meter depth. So the present seaweed conditions development is going to be largely on development of large scale seeds, nurseries, and continuous seed production, and development of offshore culture technologies, that is near deep water culture technologies, and sufficient machineries, sufficient seedings for maintenance, harvesting, processing, and a large scale support for safe farming is in the future. And also government is also coming up with granting of soft loans and crop production insurance policy, and this will really support the sustainable development of coastal resources, which will support the coastal community as well as the industry of the country. And this will also greatly support the carbon sequestration project, which will give a huge carbon offset. And with this short note, I thank the Sathyabama University for taking this much effect, and I thank my friend Dr. Inbakandan, of course, and Dr. Sheila Rani Madam for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. I request Dr. N.V. Vinit Kumar, sir. He is the officer in charge for Adult Center for Ocean Science and Technology, to provide some few words. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Sir? No, your speaker is not connected, sir.
Unmuted.
Now it is unmuted. Yeah.
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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. A very good evening, and all of you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk during this World Ocean Day on June 8th. I am working in Untitled Center for Ocean Science and Technology in Port Blair, Andaman Nicobar Islands, which is Union Territory of India. We have a lot of institutes in the islands. For that, we are working on various aspects of ocean sciences. This center started around 1998, and during that time, the shrimp culture was demonstrated in these islands. Later, when we started this program through NIOT, we have initiated various programs in these islands. Particularly at that time, we have started craft patterning culture in all over the islands, various places. We have given the training. Apart from that, we also gave training for lobster patterning also. During the same time, we have also initiated programs like ocean monitoring, coastal ocean monitoring prediction system. Presently, it is being seawater quality monitoring system. So through that, we have collected a lot of data around the islands, particularly in the bays, wherever the large bays are there, that in population is located around these bays. Actually, there are about 4 lakhs people in these islands, which is actually through the registered, that is population, through population register, whereas the floating population also there, which is coming through here, or government officers, which are officers, and other workers which are not included in the population. When you calculate all those things, you will find the population will be around 6 to 8 lakhs. So with this, if you see, it is the length of this entire Andaman Nicobar Island is around 1,200 kilometers. there are about 572 islands in this. In that, there are large islands. There are small islands, very small islands also. Large islands, particularly Andaman North, South, and Middle Andaman. Then Little Andaman, then Great Nicobar. Others are small islands, and there are different groups in Nicobar groups also. And here, if you talk about fisheries, we have around 15,000 registered, 15,000 fishermen. In that, around 7,500 are registered. Apart from that, actual seagoing people are around only 2,500. So all others are supporting. All other out of the 15,000, all others are only supporting or anyway connected to that fisheries related activity. Apart from that, there are not much big vessels operating in these islands. Mostly coastal vessels are operating, that is particularly donkeys. There are minimum number of trawlers are available. Trawlers are only less than 10 are operating in these islands. Most of the islands, it is banned for collection of ornamental fishes as well as for trawling also. So only selected areas these trawlers are doing their trawling. Apart from that, mostly it is surface or mid-water fishing only happening. So based on this, so our total harvest is around only 40,000 tons per year, whereas it is estimated to be about 1.48 million tons we can harvest from these islands. But we apart from that, there are letter of permit vessels which is coming around this these islands, and they are harvesting the fishes from these islands, and which is also sometimes coming to the Port Blair Harbour, or sometimes it directly reaches to the mainland, Chennai and other ports, and from there it is exported. There is no direct export of fishes from these islands, whereas this export is mostly happening to either Kolkata or Visakhapatnam, or mostly from to Chennai. From there only it is going to East Asian countries and Arabian countries, other places. So there are limited fishermen. Based on that, we are designing our program, and
Hello. Vinit sir? I think some technical issues even in Andaman Nicobar Islands, it seems. Once he connected, he can continue the rest of the talk. I request Ramasubramaniam sir from Sustainable Livelihood Institute to provide his views.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for this wonderful evening and listening to so many amazing people talk about the ocean. I come from the Sustainable Livelihood Institute, where I work with rural communities and communities across the state of Tamil Nadu, whom we have been training on creating locally sustainable enterprises over the past 7 years almost now. We have been working with more than 6,000 rural community leaders, creating enterprises, creating local economies, strengthening them, providing network through which they can market, and linking them towards conserving of local resources. This has been our focus. Our institute is a joint venture between the Tamil Nadu government and the Oroville International Community. And we are also been training government officials on thinking and designing sustainable livelihoods. So today, when I'm listening to many of you talk about the ocean and ocean communities and sustainable livelihoods, I'm happy to know about the width and depth of solutions that are available in this space. Uh, because I know I'm talking among scientists, and I come not from a scientist background, I come from a social space. And I always look at all the challenges today in ensuring sustainable livelihood as that of between knowledge and resource. When I work with my local community, I look at global knowledge being brought to help them sustain their resources. Often, what happens is the contrary, where local knowledge is mined to support global livelihoods and global economies. Today, even with the coastal communities, this seems to be our biggest challenge. So, I will be very short because I realize that we have already overshot the time that we had kept, and there'll be some questions, I understand. I have, having worked in the space on working with communities in ensuring sustainable livelihood over the past couple of decades, I always look at livelihoods ensuring or making it sustainable, like, kind of remains solid footing on broadly three parameters. One, the lifestyle of people of the community. Tamil Nadu has got a rich heritage. Neithal, we call our landmass that is close to the sea, going back 5,000 years. Thinayal Kotpadu, which we say is how landmass is described in Tamil ancient literature, classifies the communities living in the coastal areas as that of belonging to a Neithal community. Now, there is a deep history and description of how is life lived in the coastal communities. And even today, when you go and look at the way they govern their resources, the way they govern their communities, you can always find there is a residue of this rich knowledge among the people. So for me, the first thing to strengthen in any coastal community towards livelihood, or any community for that matter, is what is a form of life that people have been used to living, and how much has it been disturbed through emergence of climate change impact, through the emergence of global economic factors that cannot be ignored, etc. I mean, that is for me the first part. The second part, where I find uh, there is a need for communities to really be um, strengthened, is confidence in their traditional knowledge. Much of what was spoken today, I'm so amazed at so many things that were mentioned in terms of livelihood options that the communities have. But unless these are rooted and based and built on top of their existing knowledge, often what happens is I mean, I have been part of several government schemes as well, and continue to be consulting for the government. Uh, for me, one of the challenges I find is that a target-oriented approach towards implementing top-down policies have sometimes been extremely detrimental to the local knowledge being conserved. In the process, many of our rural communities have lost their capacity to even identify. In fact, I work with several rural women, and often we find that the knowledge that was there from one generation to the next generation, the knowledge of the diversity, their application, and the uses that was there has completely disappeared. In just 15 to 20 years, we see the knowledge disappear. Strengthening the knowledge systems and supplementing it with modern technology, design, innovations, etc., is extremely important. The third factor that I always find very important is to strengthen them in their capacity to negotiate with the modern market, because often markets is what they was visibly seen by them earlier. Currently, the market forces are invisible. they can't figure out where is the market, where does the produce go. So strengthening their capacity to negotiate with the market is the third factor for me that ensures uh, communities that are living, whether they are in the coast or agricultural communities or tribal communities living up in the hills, are able to sustain their livelihoods. To me, these are the underpinnings of creating sustainable livelihoods. Like I said, number one, strengthening the way of life that was there, which had a lot of components of sustainability built into it, highlight those factors, build pride back into it. Neither is a very great example for us in the Tamil coast. Second, bring back, build on top of traditional knowledge systems, but also supplement it with modern uh, technologies or innovations or processes. Third part, ensure that there is a strengthening of their governance structure and their control over resources and how they can negotiate better with the modern market. This is what I would like to uh, bring to this panel. As a very, very brief introduction, I can talk for hours on this subject with several examples, but I just realized that I would like to keep it very short and talk only on an area where I have done enough work in this state with communities across the entire state over the last couple of decades. And I'll now leave with that, Dr. Inbakandan. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the crispy and more informative words. Anyway, we are running short of time, but I request Dr. Sheshatri sir to provide some few words. Sheshatri sir is our TBA coordinator from Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology. Sir.
So thank you so much, but I am an uninvited visitor, I hope. The thing is, I'm not there in the schedule. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I just want to endorse the views of Sarah and Ram Subramaniam talking about the embracing the communities and extending the maximum support for their growth. That's more important. Of course, there are a lot of technologies, Dr. Dharani, Dr. Vivekanandan, and Adam has of course, Adam talks much about the entrepreneurship, of course, promotion of entrepreneurship, because Dr. Vivekanandan all talks about the technology developed by different institutes. So we have to democratize the technology. We need to see how we can create jobs and create kind of livelihood for the people of the coastal areas and also coastal associated communities. This is the most important requirement. With this, I don't want to extend. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I request Dr. Vivekanandan sir to provide his concluding remarks. Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, due to this time constraint, I'm not we are not going into the question and answer session. We directly conclude the meeting, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Inbakandan, thank you very much. I first of all thank all the panelists for very exciting, within a very brief time, I think 5 to 10 minutes, each one of you has given exciting ideas and from your experience, from your own experiences. I think this 1 hour has provided a lot of information and a lot of take-home messages on this World Oceans Day. We had a very good discussion or presentation, I would say, not a discussion, presentation on potential sustainable activities for the coastal communities. One thing that was flagged, I think, repeatedly was the farming of seaweeds. Of course, here in India also there is seaweed farming, but not at a very big scale. And there are a lot of problems as well on seaweed farming, particularly on marketing. So it is not at a very highly developed state right now, but I think there is excellent scope for improving the seaweed farming, at least in this part of the country. And like that, I think we had other opportunities like changing the fishing, the fishermen towards a sustainable practices, fishing practices, and other practices and also generating what Adam called as the blue data, collection of data. Several exciting ideas came, but I think the overall the theme that our overall output from this panel discussion, I would like to say that what has emerged is that there is a need to educate, train, communicate, and also engage with the coastal communities. I think this is the main outcome. There is a need for that. And there is also need to engage with them on the science and technology, particularly for an institution like SAST, where you are doing a major part as a science and technology. There is a need to communicate and engage with the communities, particularly coastal communities, so that they are also taken on board, even for designing your scientific experiments and getting your experiments being carried out. I think there is a need to engage and communicate with them, so that they'll be able to find economic solution, and it reaches the community. Your research also reaches the communities, and there are evidences that has been brought out by the panelists of the success of engaging the communities in science and technology, and also in the economic activities. I think there are evidences, more and more evidences are coming on the improvement in the life and the livelihood of the communities by engaging them. But of course, as Mr. Ramasubramanian was mentioning, there are very few. There are a few key factors which have to be considered here, like the lifestyle, traditional knowledge, and their capacity to rise to the present market and marketing systems, and develop the capacity for to negotiate with the markets. I think these are some of the key points which has emerged from this panel discussion for 1 hour or 80 minutes. And I think this is a very important take-home message. And I think even if you had discussed for 3 hours, I think this is what it would have come out finally. And I think the time, within a short time, we have come out with excellent output. And I hope that this will be really a good initiative, and I hope that SAST in association with the communities can take this forward through some projects or whatever means it is. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Now I request Director Ma'am to provide her vote of thanks. A few words, ma'am, please.
Really, this 2 hours of time period, I should say, almost we started by around sharply by 8 o'clock and maybe till 9:30. And really, the patience, either from the panelist side or from the participants, really, we could see a huge number of participants. By this time, more than 200 number of people are there. And my special thanks goes to Dr. Gopal Iyengar, sir, for having given his acceptance to be a part in this celebration of this World Ocean Day, and Dr. Vivekanandan, sir, who had given his full contribution on this day. Only thing is, due to the time constraint, we are not able to go for a detailed discussion, but sir had already told the take-home message, even though it has been constricted to 1 hour and 30 minutes, we are able to give a good message out of it. And thanks to Dr. Adam Schlenger, and I'm very particular to say to him that our Center for Ocean Research scientists have been involved in a lot of research projects, which is really being acknowledged by our Dr. Gopal Iyengar, sir, and Dr. Vivekanandan, Dr. Dharani, sir, who is there. And with them only, we are always collaborating and doing a lot of research work. I hope our scientists will be able to work with you also for your objectives, and they'll be able to give a good deliverables results out of it. I think the association with this ocean funders will be a fruitful one in the near future. And Dr. Dharani sir, always no words to say for all of our programs, what are being conducted. Sir is a part into it, and thank you so much, sir, for having discussed in this platform. And Ms. Sara, we are taking your message, and we will see to it that we are able to collaborate through our Sathyabama Technology Business Incubator also for bringing more entrepreneurships. And thanks to Dr. Seshadri sir, who is also a best advisor for our technology business incubator and being there for this occasion today. Thanks to once again to all the participants who have been here today for celebrating this World Ocean Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always my special thanks goes to my Center for Ocean Research team for conducting these type of events. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
Thank you.